I never thought an 80-year-old woman could feel her heart shatter like a teenage girl's. But that night, on my birthday, in my quiet little suburban home in Michigan, my grandson, Ethan, pulled me aside after everyone had gone home. He looked me in the eyes, those same gentle eyes I helped raise since he was small, and he told me a truth that had been buried in my family for decades, a truth that made me question everything I thought I knew about myself, my past, and the people I loved most. And when he finished speaking, I realized the one person I trusted more than anyone had betrayed me, in a way I never imagined possible. This is the story of how my 80th birthday became the night my entire life fell apart. Before we begin, drop a comment below with your country and what time it is right now where you're watching. Whether it's sunrise in Nairobi, midnight in New York, afternoon in Canada, or evening in France, I want to know. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe. Don't just sit back, tell me where in the world you are. Now, let's dive into the story. I woke up early that morning, long before the sun had risen above Maplewood Lane. My bones were aching, age tends to do that, but I felt a strange mixture of excitement and dread. 80. It's a number you don't take lightly. My suburban home was quiet. The kind of quiet that feels almost sacred. The smell of old mahogany furniture, lavender candles, and the faint lingering scent of last night's rain filled the air. I made my coffee the same way I had for years, one sugar, a splash of milk, and sat by the living room window. From there, I could watch the neighborhood stir to life, kids biking, joggers heading out, dogs barking. And I whispered to myself, "You made it, Margaret. 80 years. You're still here." But deep inside, I felt it, a familiar tug. A sense that something was about to change. Big birthdays have a way of opening old wounds. By noon, the house was full of people. Children running through hallways, cousins laughing in the kitchen, the smell of roast chicken and baked potatoes filling the air. My daughter, Claire, orchestrated everything like she always did, loud, commanding, efficient. But I only waited for one person. My grandson, Ethan. 22 years old, tall, soft-spoken, thoughtful. He was the child who sat with me for hours, asking about my past, my dreams, and my regrets. He was the one who visited me when no one else did. And when he finally walked through the door with that shy smile of his, I thought my heart might burst. "Happy birthday, Grandma," he said, hugging me tightly. But something was different. His hands trembled, and his eyes looked heavier than I'd ever seen. All afternoon, tiny things felt off. Every time I caught Ethan's eye, he looked away, like he was hiding something. He hardly touched his food. He didn't laugh with the other cousins. He kept checking his phone, wiping his palms on his jeans. At one point, I approached him. "Sweetheart, are you all right?" He forced a smile. "Yeah, Grandma. We'll talk later. I promise." Later. It was a word that stuck in my mind like a thorn. As everyone gathered for the toast, something inside me drifted back to a time I tried so hard to forget. Back to 1967. Back when I was young, terrified, and pregnant out of wedlock. My family was strict, more strict than any modern family could imagine. A child born without a husband? It was scandalous. I remembered the shouting, the threats, the nights I cried into my pillow. And then the day my parents forced me to make a decision I never forgave them for. I had to give my baby away. A baby boy. I never saw him again. Not once. Years later, I married my husband, Richard, a gentleman, and we had my daughter, Claire. But there was always a hole in my heart. A hole shaped like the baby I lost. And until that night, I thought the past was buried forever. But the past has a way of clawing its way back. When the cake came out, white frosting, strawberries on top, everyone sang loudly, off-key, wonderfully. But Ethan didn't sing. He just stared at me. Deeply. Like he was studying my face, memorizing me. When it was time to slice the cake, he stepped outside onto the porch alone. I watched him through the window. He ran his hands through his hair. He whispered something to himself. His shoulders trembled. Something was terribly wrong. By evening, the crowd thinned. The kitchen was messy with plates and cups. The sun dipped behind the houses across the street. My daughter packed leftovers, chatting with neighbors. And Ethan stood near the front door, holding his jacket, motionless. "Grandma," he said softly. "Can we talk, in private?" My stomach dropped. Those words never mean anything simple. We walked to the small reading room, my favorite place in the house. I sat in my old rocking chair. He sat across from me, elbows on his knees, hands clasped tightly. And he said 3 words that froze my blood. "Grandma." "I know." I whispered. "Know what, sweetheart?" He swallowed hard. "About your baby. The one you had before Mom." My breath caught. I hadn't spoken of that child in over 50 years. "How?" I choked out. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a folded piece of paper. "When Grandpa Richard died 3 years ago, I found something in his desk. Something he hid. Something he never told you." My heart hammered in my chest. He handed me the paper. It was old. Yellow. Fragile. With trembling hands, I opened it. And I saw an address. A name. And a date. My son's birthday. Ethan continued. "Grandma. Grandpa Richard found your son. He found him decades ago. But he never told you." I felt the room tilt. My vision blurred. "No," I whispered. "That's impossible. He loved me. He would have told me." But Ethan wasn't finished. "Grandma, he didn't just find him. He contacted him." My hands shook violently. "Richard? My sweet, gentle Richard? My husband who held me every night? Who promised me honesty? He knew." Ethan nodded. "And he told him to stay away." I stared at my trembling hands. "Why?" I croaked. "Why would he do that to me?" Ethan's voice broke. "He thought he was protecting you. He wrote in that letter that he was afraid the truth would destroy the life you built. That bringing your first child back would reopen your pain." I felt sick. Pain? What did he think living without my child felt like? Ethan reached out, took my hand gently. "But there's more, Grandma." My heart clenched. "More?" I wasn't sure I could take more. He hesitated, then whispered. "Grandma, your son, he died last year." Silence. A deep, hollow silence that swallowed the room whole. I felt everything inside me collapse. My son. My baby. Gone forever. Before I could say a word, Ethan continued. "But that's not the worst part." I stared at him, frozen. He took a shaky breath. "Grandma, he had a child. A son." My heart thudded painfully. "A grandson?" Ethan nodded slowly, tears forming in his eyes. "And his name is me." The world stopped. My breath left my body. I stared at him, unable to speak. "You?" I whispered. He nodded. "I'm not just your grandson through Mom. I'm also your grandson through the son you lost." Mom adopted me and never told you. My entire life, every memory, every moment, flashed before me. I had held him as a baby, sung him lullabies, watched him grow. And all along, he was the last piece of the child I had lost. And no one told me. Not Richard. Not my daughter. Not my family. No one. My heart broke clean in two. I wept. For my son. For years stolen from me. For lies told to protect me that only deepened my wounds. Why didn't your mother tell me? I whispered. Ethan looked away. She wanted to, but Grandpa convinced her not to. He said your heart couldn't take it. That you'd already suffered enough. I shook my head. Lies, I whispered. All of it lies. Ethan knelt beside me, clutching my hands. I'm telling you now, Grandma. Because I couldn't carry it anymore. And because I thought you deserved the truth while you're still here. I cupped his face with my trembling hands. You are my grandson, I whispered. In every way that matters. He collapsed into my arms, crying. And in that moment, through the pain, through the betrayal, I realized something. My son may be gone. My husband may have lied. My daughter may have feared the truth. But life, in its strange, twisted way, gave me a second chance. Because my son left me his child. A child who chose honesty. A child who loved me enough to break my heart, so I could finally heal. So if you're listening to this, and you're carrying a secret, ask yourself. Is it protecting someone? Or is it stealing something from them? Because the truth hurts, but lies destroy. And on my 80th birthday, I learned the difference.